Welcome back to the Dinar Chronicle, your trusted source for real-time developments, insider analysis, and breaking intelligence in the global currency markets. Tonight, we bring you an urgent update that is reverberating across both political and financial circles. It centers around the Iraqi dinar and a stunning new move attributed to former President Donald Trump that many analysts believe represents the next step in the long-anticipated revaluation process. For years, the possibility of an RV shortfall revaluation has been dismissed by mainstream commentators as speculation, yet behind closed doors, the alignment of monetary policy, banking infrastructure, and geopolitical strategy has been quietly advancing. Now a new layer has been added, and it comes directly from the political realm, creating shockwaves for dinar holders who have been waiting for clarity. To understand why Trump's involvement matters at this moment, we need to review the shifting dynamics inside Iraq itself. The Central Bank of Iraq has, over the past several months, implemented reforms designed to reduce its dependency on the US dollar. This included the introduction of tighter restrictions on parallel market trading, new regulations on foreign remittances, and coordinated efforts with the IMF to stabilize liquidity. These measures are not random. They are preconditions for a stable revaluation, ensuring that when the dinar is allowed to reset against global currencies, the country can maintain equilibrium rather than spiraling into volatility. Against this backdrop, we now see former President Trump inserting himself into the narrative in a way that signals coordination between U.S. political forces and Iraqi financial reformers. According to multiple insider reports, Trump has recently held private meetings with financial advisors and former Treasury officials to discuss what is being described as the final alignment phase of the RV process. This is not happening in isolation. Trump has been openly critical of the current administration's handling of inflation, dollar strength, and energy markets, while simultaneously signaling that under his leadership, the U.S. would pursue more favorable trade agreements with Middle Eastern partners. Iraq, as the second-largest OPEC oil producer, holds a critical card in this equation. By stabilizing its currency and positioning itself as a reliable trading partner, Iraq directly ties into Trump's broader strategy of leveraging energy and monetary policy as twin pillars of economic growth. The urgency of this development lies in the timing. With global markets on edge from rising interest rates, central bank interventions, and currency realignments across Asia, the potential revaluation of the dinar is no longer a distant idea, but a tactical consideration for policymakers. Trump's decision to take this next step by signaling his support for U.S. banks, preparing to handle high-volume foreign currency exchanges, is being read as both a political maneuver and a financial endorsement. Banking insiders have quietly confirmed that discussions have taken place regarding how U.S. institutions would manage a sudden surge of dinar holders looking to exchange into dollars once the revaluation is made public. These discussions involve everything from liquidity injection strategies to compliance monitoring under FinCEN guidelines. It is also crucial to recognize the legal and regulatory frameworks at play here. U.S. banks cannot simply flip a switch and begin exchanging at new rates without guidance from the Treasury Department. What Trump is believed to be doing is laying the groundwork for such coordination by ensuring that a political consensus is in place. One that frames the RV not as a speculative gamble, but as a legitimate financial reset benefiting both Iraq and the United States. This distinction matters enormously because for years, the RV conversation has been marginalized by regulators who viewed it as fringe speculation. The shift we are now witnessing places it within the boundaries of formal banking policy, overseen by compliance officers, wealth management divisions, and regional Federal Reserve branches. From Iraq's perspective, this step is equally significant. The Iraqi government has been under increasing domestic pressure to strengthen its currency in order to alleviate inflationary pressures on citizens. The soaring cost of imports, combined with currency manipulation in black markets, has fueled frustration. By aligning with an international framework that has visible U.S. political backing, Iraq positions itself to move forward without facing the backlash that might otherwise occur if the decision appeared unilateral. Trump's involvement provides a form of political cover, signaling to global markets that major Western powers are aligned with Iraq's monetary reform. This, in turn, encourages confidence from institutional investors who have long been wary of the dinar, due to its volatility. For dinar holders in the United States, the immediate implication is heightened readiness. Sources indicate that certain banks have already staged dry runs of their authentication processes using Dinar verification systems. These machines, widely recognized in the banking industry for their ability to validate currency, are central to ensuring the legitimacy of exchanged notes. Trump's next step in the RV process appears to be linked to ensuring that these logistical measures are not just quietly tested but politically supported at the highest levels. The message to banks is clear. Prepare for activation because political will is aligning with financial readiness. At the same time, we must consider the broader implications for the global monetary system. If the dinar revaluation occurs with overt U.S. political endorsement, it could signal a shift toward a multipolar currency environment. For decades, the U.S. dollar has dominated global trade, yet in recent years, nations from China to Russia to Saudi Arabia have explored alternatives, experimenting with yuan-based settlements and barter agreements outside of the SWIFT network. The formal emergence of a stronger Iraqi dinar, positioned with U.S. support, would act as a counterbalance to these moves, reinforcing U.S. influence in the Middle East, while simultaneously creating new opportunities for bilateral trade. Trump's decision to take this step now suggests that he sees the RV not only as a domestic issue, but as a geopolitical tool. Another layer to this story involves wealth management and taxation. If and when the RV occurs, holders of large quantities of dinar will face immediate questions about reporting, tax obligations, and structured payouts. Insiders confirm that banks have drafted provisional protocols to guide clients through this process, offering options that include direct deposit of proceeds into wealth management accounts, deferred tax strategies, and customized investment vehicles. Trump's role in backing the process gives these protocols a degree of legitimacy they previously lacked. By linking the RV narrative to a former U.S. president's economic vision, banks gain the assurance needed to allocate resources for client management. This explains why wealth managers, who traditionally avoided the dinar conversation, are now quietly briefing clients on potential scenarios. There is also the political theater to consider. Trump has long positioned himself as a defender of the average American investor, frequently criticizing Wall Street elites and global institutions. By inserting himself into the RV process, he creates a narrative where everyday dinar holders, many of whom have waited for years, are positioned as beneficiaries of his economic leadership. This framing serves him politically, particularly as the nation approaches another election cycle. But it also galvanizes confidence among holders who have doubted whether the process would ever materialize. The symbolism of Trump taking this step cannot be overstated. Transforms what was once whispered speculation into a storyline tied directly to national political discourse. Behind closed doors, however, not everyone is celebrating. There are factions within the financial establishment that remain skeptical of the RV's viability. Some argue that Iraq's economy, while improving, is not yet robust enough to sustain a large revaluation without risking destabilization. Others worry that a sudden influx of liquidity into U.S. banks from dinar exchanges could create distortions in domestic monetary policy, particularly at a time when the Federal Reserve is already managing inflation. Trump's move, therefore, is not without controversy. But what makes this development noteworthy is that for the first time, the arguments are not about whether the RV exists, but about how it should be managed and when it should be executed. That is a major shift in tone from years past. In conclusion, tonight's report highlights a seismic development. Former President Donald Trump has taken what insiders describe as the next step in the RV process, aligning political will with financial readiness in a way that reshapes the conversation. Iraq's monetary reforms, U.S. banking preparations, and international institutional reviews are now converging under the umbrella of visible political support. For dinar holders, this means the long-awaited moment may finally be approaching, though the exact timing remains uncertain. The message is clear. The process is moving forward, and it is doing so with more legitimacy than ever before. This has been the Dinar Chronicle, bringing you the latest breaking news on the Iraqi dinar and the unfolding RV process. Stay subscribed, stay vigilant, and prepare for further updates as this historic development continues to evolve. And finally, an important disclaimer. While this report is based on multiple sources and credible financial intelligence, Much of the information surrounding the RV process remains fluid, speculative, and subject to change. Neither the timeline nor the exact outcomes are confirmed, and no portion of this broadcast should be interpreted as financial advice. Always consult licensed financial professionals before making investment decisions.